folks, well, there you have it. 82 games are in the books. Leafs finished second in the Atlantic. Playoffs right around the corner. Is this the year? Well, you know what? We're going to break it all down for you right here on the OZone.
You're in the offensive zone, your place for Leafs hockey.
Hey folks, welcome to the OZone. That's Coach, that's Katie, and I'm the Diva. We're here to talk all things Leafs. Well, it's been a while, folks. The Leafs closed out the season, and now they got a pretty tough matchup with Tampa. It should be a good series. Keith's been mixing and matching up the lineups. What's the optimal lineup, Katie?
Well, optimally, I just saw a clip 20 minutes ago that Bunting was skating with a regular jersey on, so clearly that's optimal. Fingers crossed he can get in, and obviously if that happens, the band is reunited, so we stick that number one line in there. If he can't go, I kind of like the idea of sticking Kerfoot in there. You know, I think he had played pretty well in the past. With them, and I like that jump. I think with him, you definitely create like a dominant first line again. And plus, you know how much I dislike having Kerfoot play on Tavares' line with Nylander. So if you got to move Kerfoot up, I think then you have the ability to put Mikheyev with Tavares and Nylander on that second line. Camp obviously plays great with Engvall, so you keep that together. I probably like the idea of moving Blackwell up. I think he's got a lot of jump and he chases the puck pretty well, and he seems to be pretty responsible in his own end. So I'd stick that group together, and then you got kind of the old guys back on that fourth line, but we're seeing them play a little bit better, more inspired hockey. So obviously, I think just for his face-offs and the fact he plays on the second power play that Spezza has to play. I probably like the way Clifford's playing, especially against Tampa Bay, who are going to try and be tough. And then you probably start with Simmons, just because I think you need the toughness against Tampa Bay. But I would not be averse to trying Robertson at some point with some energy on that line. And that's how I do it. And obviously, if you had Bunting play, then you push everyone down. I would actually move Kerfoot down to the third line and have Kerfoot play with Kampf and Engvall, and keep Mikheyev up there on the second.
Huh. All right. It'd be interesting to see if the blender keeps going throughout the playoffs or if Keith tries to settle things down. Coach, what do you think?
Well, I guess before I get into anything, we should probably apologize to our subscriber base. The stretch run of the playoffs probably isn't the time to take 8 days off, and that's what happened. So I know you rely on us for all things Leafs, or I guess maybe some things Leafs these days. So we're happy to be back at it. Fortunately, not much happened in the past week, so it's not that big of a... Hold on. What? Let me get my glasses. I can't read this. He got 60? Hey, Matthews got 60 goals.
Okay.
That's fantastic. That's awesome. Hey, we should celebrate that. What? Oh, yeah, they might have mentioned it. I talked about 3 minutes in. I don't listen to these guys. Anyway, okay. So that's terrific. I mean, you got to be fired up as a Leaf fan. Matthews scored 60 goals. Unbelievable. I know you guys, we were texting. It was great, right? Mm-hmm. So let's get to the lineups. I figured I'd put a picture up here to talk, and I'm going to be pretty similar to you, Kev. So at practice Sunday, day before game one, Bunting is practicing not in a red jersey. Kasha is practicing not in a red jersey.
Yeah.
There's a few different scenarios here. If Bunting plays, I think this is what it looks like. Bunting's up on that top line for sure. I've got Kerfoot in yellow because he moves around depending on the rest of the lineups, right? Mm-hmm. You could put him with Tavares, maybe you switch him and Mikheyev, but this is a pretty good lineup, and I think I go Clifford, Blackwell, and Spezza on that last line. Spezza has to dress. I'll talk about that later. Kasha and Simmons are your extra two. Okay. Now, if Bunting can't play and Kasha can't play, then I think Kerfoot moves up. I agree with you there, Kev. And then what that means is some other guys have to elevate. So I would have Mikheyev up with Tavares. With Kerfoot moving up, I think Blackwell moves up as well. So he can play. He's quick enough to play on that third line. And then Simmons draws in. And then your two guys that are hurt are Kasha and Bunting. But man, if both those guys can play, I don't think Kasha should play game one. But as the series progresses and he gets some reps and maybe you want to draw him in, this is how I see it. That top line, unchanged. Bunting is on that line. I'd move Mikheyev up to play with Tavares and Nylander. Guys, we haven't talked about Nylander reuniting with Tavares. I think it should happen. I would go with Engvall, Kampf, and Kasha. That line had been good, really good, as when Kasha was going. That's a big advantage for us in this series, that line. And then I would have Blackwell and Spezza in between, and Kerfoot in between. He's so versatile. He could play that fourth line center. Their fourth line's better than ours, but this helps even it. So this is what I do. Kev, you didn't talk about the D, but the D has been set for over a week now. This is the way they're practicing today, too. Riley with Lyubushkin, Muzzin with Brody, Giordano with Liljegren. And then Sandin and Hall are your 7-8. I think both those guys probably play in this series, especially Hall. But I think this is the way they start. I would say that Muzzin was okay, but he was good on the penalty kill. He doesn't have to be fast on the penalty kill, but he has to be mean and smart and big, and he can do those things. Right. And, you know, how good he's been in previous playoff series, I think he's got to play. Yeah. So, we're not talking about goalie, are we? Like, we need Carroll.
We know that. We know that. I think, Scotty, the key on the D side for me is just that Muzzin is not fully trusted at the moment. You know, if he was, if we had Muzzin fully trusted, then you would actually move Brody up, I think, with the play with Riley and kind of unlock Riley a little bit, and that would allow either
Lyubushkin or Hall, right,
or Hall to play there, and then you'd have 55. We have Giordano playing with Liljegren, and
I wouldn't break up Giordano and Liljegren. I think a fault of Keith in this last stretch run here was not giving Hall more time with Riley to see if he could do it. Okay, because Hall is bigger, he's got more playoff experience. Yeah. But I mean, you know, past years it hasn't worked, but we should have given that a chance, guys.
I agree.
Because now 100%. Hall can really only play with Brody or Giordano, and he wasn't great with Giordano. So he may be better than those other guys, but he doesn't fit as well. Because you're right, Kev. You have to protect Muzzin by playing him with Brody right now.
Yeah, that's a problem. You can go back through many pods and see not only our ask to get Hull up with 44 there, but also you know, we're kind of stuck in a situation that we brought in another lefty and not a right D, but we're not going to relitigate that, guys. I just want to touch on a couple things that you guys said. Obviously, if Bunting's healthy, we know what the top line is. I think that's as much of a lock as Campbell is to start the series. Kerfoot, Tavares, and Nylander. They've played a lot together this year. They are probably, of all the line combinations, the worst positionally in their own end, playing a cycle. I love the idea of Kerfoot centering the fourth line, to be honest, because I actually think that's what he likes to do, is skate around and dog the puck. And it maximizes, you know, his speed potential further on in the lineup. I absolutely love Mikheyev, Kampf, and Engvall. I know that there may be a situation where you got to move Mikheyev up so that you have some firepower with Tavares, but as a third line, there's not too many teams that can match that third line, and it means that you're playing them more, which gives that first line a little bit of rest and maybe a little bit more jump in the third period.
Mike, to me, that's the biggest advantage we have in the entire series is our middle six, or especially third line depth.
Yeah, 100%. And then just to go back to the back end, if we get out of this series alive and Lyubushkin plays the whole thing up with Riley, Dubas has to win some sort of award for getting Lyubushkin thrown in there as an add-in. Is going to play 22 minutes a night? That's unbelievable.
Yeah.
I'm not 100% sold on the concept, but he has outperformed what any of us thought he was going to do as a Leaf.
Absolutely.
The other thing I just want to say is I know in Leafland you always need a whipping boy on the back end. It doesn't matter what year, what season, how well the team is performing or how well they're not performing. But if Hall doesn't draw in this series, I will be shocked. It's been proven time and time again. Teams go deep in the playoffs if you're big on the back end. And he's one of the biggest players on the back end that they've got. I don't see a scenario that looks positive with him on the bench. I'd love to be proven wrong.
No, I'm with you. Fortunately, we moved our whipping boy to Vancouver for a third-round pick at the deadline.
Right.
Travis, good to see you, bud.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's pretty much it. I think after we get a look at the results from the first game and we see what actually Keefe does, we might have a better sense, particularly if Cache is indeed ready to go. I think that does that changes a whole lot of what can happen in that middle six, and I think that has huge potential on both the fourth and second line. There you have it, folks. Everything you need to know about your Leafs, we're going to bring it to you, and we're not going to miss any more days. We'll see you after the first one, right here